Peace. You have reached the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. We are that Be First Vanguard, and through the Lord, we make art of going hard. Let's go. That's right. That is correct. Bring 5 people to the Real HD Show audience under your invite and win a 4-day, 3-night stay at a U.S. destination of your choice, courtesy of Redeem Vacations and the Real HD Show. We got one more. Stay tuned. All right, that was Total Package Energy. Get your Be First company made. So you're buying from our folks, Melanated Company, all natural supplement for that pick me up that you might need when you in that speed, or when you got that 2 p.m., 3 p.m. crash, and you feel like you need to dash, or you feel like you're about to nod off in the middle of the important meeting. Get your Total Package Energy. Welcome to the Real HD Show. I am your host, the Victorious One, and you have been brought to an oasis of information that's going to help us explain our situation so we can get that better vibration for the rest of the 21st century and beyond. Share, like, share, and subscribe. Now let's ride. So those who are new to the Real HD Show, this is how we roll. We bring you all those chaotic headlines so that we can have an audience to talk about things and have our voice heard before the mass media discusses our community and our situation for us. And how do we solve that? Well, we solve that with Freedom Music. Now, Freedom Music is played every Monday and Wednesday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. in our back channel. So all you have to do is go to StreamYard.com, R3DP, CQ9D9K about a half hour ago, and you would have heard some motivational Jones to get you to put a battery in your back and get you moving like that, get you very motivated and very pushing that positive thing so that you get And you could be as best armed and energetic as possible for solving our own problems and making our brothers sisters problems our problems, and leaving this world better than you inherited it. You heard it first here on the Real HD Show. Now, what we usually do on the Real HD Show is we have our ancestors and elders blueprint right here on the Real HD Show. And our ancestors and elders blueprint tonight, we usually do hip hop cartoons, but from time to time, I'll pick some inspirational quotes and we will check those out. So tonight, our ancestors and elders blueprint, and it's a blueprint because our ancestors usually leave clues, traces, and blueprints around for us to follow. But we too highfalutin, we too caught up in our own bag, we too in our own headspace to just go back and take a second look. So tonight's elders and ancestor blueprint is going to come to us from Marcus Messiah Garvey. Let's get right to it. Real HD Show. Check it out.
A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin and culture, is like a tree without roots. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won before you have started.
Fair use, fair use, fair use. This video is used for educational purposes only.
Up, you mighty race, accomplish what you will. Progress is the attraction that moves humanity. God and nature first made us what we are, and then out of our own created genius, we make ourselves what we want to be. Follow always that great law. Let the sky and God be our limit, and eternity our measurement. Chance has never yet satisfied the hope of a suffering people.
That's a fire quote. You know, Kendrick Lamar would say, shit don't change until you get up and wash your ass. Let's continue.
Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately, you will liberate the bodies of men. Real men laugh at opposition. Real men smile when enemies appear. Look for me in the whirlwind or the storm. A reading man and woman is a ready man and woman, but a writing man and woman is exact. The whole world is run on bluff.
Fire right there. The whole world is run on bluff. That means fakery. That means deception. Let's continue. Hey, man, this is good. This is good TV on these social media streets. Like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends and all your people to get in here. We need this conversation. Everybody needs to hear from Marcus Garvey right now. Let's continue.
Men who are in earnest are not afraid of consequences. Our success, educationally, industrially, and politically is based upon the protection of a nation founded by ourselves. And the nation can be nowhere else but in Africa. We see a new Ethiopia, a new Africa, stretching her hands of influence throughout the world, teaching man the way of life and peace, the way to God. I like honesty and fair play. This hour, we are stretching forth our hands, with the desire to teach the world the true principles of mercy and justice. Whatsoever things common to man that man has done, man can do.
All right, that was the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey with our ancestors and elders blueprint on the Real HD show. And no, that wasn't his voice. That was an AI generated voice thing that I hooked up. But those quotes and much, much more you can find on the Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. You can get that book. Do I have it here? I should. Yep. Let me see. So I guess this will be book of the night. Philosophies and Opinions. Let me get it in focus. Come on, Cam. There you go. Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. Seminal work, seminal stuff that you need to take heed, get understanding to, and play chess, not checkers with. Yeah, man. So we are back. Thank you for rocking with us. That was our ancestors and elders blueprint. And as usual, as we move along, we try to stand strong and do our segments nice and early. Had a lot to get to, so I figured I'd get started early, get that worm. And let's go to our AAT report. Healthy, wealthier, and wiser for a better you. Aero Aqua Terra, as my man named it. Everything under the land, sea, and air. We're gonna try to cover as it relates to health. Let's go.
To Maccabees Whammy Eat Wednesdays. Spelt is an ancient grain. Spelt. Have you heard that name? Spelt. I'll say it again. Spelt. Yo. Spelt is spelled S-P-E-L-T. It's ancient, part of the wheat family, been here thousands of years since antiquity, before wheat was altered commercially. Spelt is marketed as very healthy. Beats modern wheat nutritionally. It's got gluten, so it's not gluten-free. Might not be for you if you have the allergy. Spelt gluten is more water-soluble, more digestible. Could be possible. Can be true. When I get it on my finger, washes off quick. It doesn't seem to linger. It's got the minerals, vitamin B's, carbs, fiber, dietary, zinc, iron, enough manganese, protein, things like these. Whole is best, yes, unrefined. Prefer whole foods every time. Okay, people, it's homework time. Check out some spelt recipes online. Modern wheat's been manipulated. Go and research how it originated. Then check out some ancient grains, the ones from which it was created. Yes, sire.
Yeah, that was Maccabee back again, talking about healthy things for us to put in our bodies during a AAT, healthier, wealthier, and wiser moment on the Real HD show. Why? Because we need that. We need that cell power, man. Tell us what you think of spelt. Have you dealt with it? Have you used it? Has a floury consistency to it. Very nutritional. A lot better than the flour that we use to make our cakes and wheat products. I would recommend using it. You could probably find it at any grocer near you, but you heard it first here on the Real HD show. And we're not done. We're not done with the ragamuffin LT kingdom. All right? Because we got this article here that we're going to talk about. Common plastic additive linked to autism. Scientists discover. So give me a second, family, to pull this up. And we're going to read a little bit from the headline and the byline. And then we could chop it up if you like. The number of people diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and the attention of deficit hyperactivity disorder has risen ridiculously in the recent decades, And the research continues to delve into factors involved in these conditions. A new study now reveals there's a difference in how children with autism or ADHD clear the common plastic additive BPA compared to neurotypical children. BPA is used in a lot of plastics and plastic production processes. It can be found inside food and drink cans, plastic bottles as well. However, previous research has linked it to health issues involving hormone disruption, including breast cancer and and infertility. In a new study, Rowan University and Rutgers University in the US looked at three groups of children: 66 with autism, 46 with ADHD, and 37 with neotypical kids. In particular, they analyzed the glucose, all right, I'm going to try to say this fast, glucuronidation chemical process the body uses to clear out toxins within the blood and urine. So let me sum that up for you. That means if you have too much of BPA in your system because you are continuously a user of plastics or that sort of ilk, you will not be able to do glucuronidation, a chemical process the body uses to clear out toxins within the blood and urine. And if that buildup continues over time, if that buildup continues over time, it could affect the birthing process, and babies can come out with autism spectrum disorder. So you heard it first right here on the Real HD Show. Jumping on to the next bit of information in our AAT report. Inhalable polymer based nanoparticles deliver COVID-19 vaccines to mice. Now, what does this mean in short term, in layman's term? In layman's term, this means that they have developed an mRNA that can be inhaled. And they did it through a study, mice, and it was successful. So I'm just going to read a little bit from the byline, and you guys can comment. Let me know what you think of this story. Let me know what it means for our people, and we can chop it up. Injectable mRNA based. Sorry, this thing just popped up and jumped around. Okay. Injectable mRNA based vaccines were instrumental in halting the corona infection. Now, researchers from Yale, Hughes Medical are looking into developing a safe inhalable mechanism for delivering vaccines and other therapies in the body. In a paper published in Science Translational Medicine, the team described a nanoparticle. Follow me, right? A nanoparticle, just like that graphene oxide, right? Okay. The team described the nanoparticle delivery-based system for carrying mRNA vaccines against the SARS-CoV-2 virus can be delivered nasally. They used the system to deliver the vaccine to mice. The primary goal of the study was to develop an inhale or topical administered delivery vehicle that could facilitate minimally invasive and lung-targeted therapies for pulmonary pathologies. The researchers said they also aim to provide a proof of concept for the transitional potential of our vehicle as a platform for mucosal vaccination against the respiratory pathogen. Here we go. So you let us know, man. Y'all messing with the nanoparticle vax? What y'all doing with that? How y'all feel about that? Is that something that's on your radar? Is that something that you are looking forward to? You know what I mean? Primatine Miss. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure all of the decades of using Primatine Miss and other inhalable devices that deliver medicine provided them with the provided medical researchers and scientists with the background and know-how to go ahead and it was the context, it was the backbone, it was the antecedent to what we have right now. But based on the VAERS results and the medical adverse effects that were in the 39 pages of the Pfizer report of the VaxiVax medical emergencies, committing over what at this point, the rate is probably at 500,000 people that have had medical emergencies because of the vax and its various components. So we got to ask ourselves, are we arming ourselves with the most capable things possible, or are we going on someone else's onus to make us healthy? And then you got to ask yourself, if you could cure this with a strict regimen of vitamin C, why are you putting foreign pathogens in your body to begin with? We try to arm the people, we try to arm the babies with information so we can do the best we can. That was our AAT report, Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser, right here on the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. Has anybody tried to get you to participate in a nano inhaler or any type of inhaler that delivers the jabby jab to you? Let me know. Put it in the joint. And if a loved one got sick or a loved one got into some medical abnormality because of the the vid, as they call it, the Rona, would you think that that was some sort of viable solution? We need you to tell us and talk to us and push your narrative before mass media creates your narrative for you. Yeah, man. So that was our AAT report, Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser. And right now, because hip hop has turned 50, we got a special vid to show you and if you're an oldie, if you are an 80s head, if you grew up in the 70s and the 80s and maybe even the 90s, you heard of this group called Poor Righteous Teachers. And the lead MC for Poor Righteous Teachers has a really dope PSA that he wants to talk about. He was at a community meeting and he started dropping some real information. And we thought it was so lit. We thought it was so enlightening that we are going to show you that in part of our Lit City report, the wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that keep our world going round on the Real HD Show. So let me pull that up and let's get into it. Here we go. PRT. Gotcha. Didn't y'all think that was gonna be Poor Righteous Teachers? I got that on lock for you, but I thought that was really dope. I thought that deserved the Lit City moment. Those two brothers in that California region stopped and helped that sister, that elderly sister across the street, carried her across that busy highway and byway. Who knows what would have happened if he did not if the two of them did not intervene and help her along. No one else was stopping to do so. Kudos to those brothers. We need more, and we need more like that on. You heard it here first on the Real HD Show. But we do got that PRT for you, and we want to show it to you. So let's get it while the getting is good. Give me a minute, family, to find it. That's not it right there. I'm gonna get to it. I just gotta give me a minute. Process. Okay, there we go. We on it. All right, I'm gonna share my screen and we gonna get to it like we supposed to do it. Appreciate y'all being patient with me. This comes courtesy of my man Sev in New York, great principal, teacher, hip hop head like myself. This is Wise Intelligent of Poor Righteous Teachers, which was a hip hop group in mid 80s, early 90s. Really, really dope. Go check out some of their stuff. Rock this funky joint. Um, they had about 5 or 6 really dope hits. Go patronize their YouTube page. Give it a like. Give it a subscribe. Rock out with them. Hip Hop 50. Wise Intelligent dropping some jewels. You heard it here first on the Real HD Show. Check it out. All right. So you heard it there and you heard it here first on the Real HD Show. Uh I don't know if you could go back into the annals of the Real HD Show. That means you can watch some previous episodes and you will find I'm going to try to pull this up real quick, but I'm not going to take too long with it. Hope not to be long-winded. But we did an expose on hip hop when we talked about the Mississippi prisons and how the Mississippi prisons were part of the prison industrial complex, and how the prison industrial complex was nothing but a they were being funded through mutual funds. The record industry was being funded through mutual funds alongside the prison industrial complex. So in other words, the same people that were passing along um, and investing in the prison industrial complex were investing in hip hop also. And how do we know that? Because I'm going to share my screen again. There was a CIA agent who attested to these facts, and I'm going to show you quick. It's on the People's Voice, but you can find it on many, many and this article came from 2017. CIA financed hip hop to corrupt American youth, admits CIA agent, and his name was John Homestead. And he did this expose on a national Russian television show, and he had to be blacked out because he didn't want that smoke. And then, of course, he goes on to say some of the more pioneering groups were involved with that, including NWA. And if anybody grew up in the 80s, everybody remembers that's when hip hop kind of actually changed. And Special Ed talked about that on the Drink Champs with oh yeah, my bag, sis. Yeah, okay. So you want me to run that one more again? All right, I'm gonna share that one more time. Thanks for letting me know that. Appreciate it. Let's see. I'm gonna run that one more again, and I'm going to see if that audio will cooperate with me. Let me see. Okay. Just have that up. Bear with me, family. I'm gonna try to find this joint quicker than quick, so we don't waste a whole lot of time. Just had it up in my feed. I'll have to share my back channels in order to get to it. Come on, pop up, pop up, pop up. See all. Let's see if that'll open it up for me. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I got it. Bear with me, family. I'm gonna try to share this one more again because I didn't realize, and I let it run twice because I wanted y'all to hear it, and I didn't realize that the audio box, yeah, the tab audio was on. That's interesting. Okay, so let me know if you guys could hear this. I'm gonna run it again. Let me know if you guys can hear this or not. Oh yeah. All right, let me go back. I realize what's going on. I have to share this tab as well. All right, cool. Okay, cool.
Of history. It was nothing that just happened on its own. It had nothing to do with the changing of the times. Had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the fact that there are people in this particular society who wants to see us exactly where we are. I believe it was JT, the bigger figure, who said the label executives came to him and said, yo, brother.
Let me know. Can y'all hear that? Let me know if y'all can hear that. Put it in the chat. Okay, awesome. Let me continue.
We need you talking about guns and whores. Right. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That happens. I've been in those meetings. Young Buck, he has a song on his album that talks about police terrorism. The label said absolutely not. Jimmy Iovine said absolutely not. You cannot put that on the album because it might create an atmosphere that might put police officers' lives in danger.
Right.
So they took the record off, but they let him keep the other 14 songs on the album that talked about killing black youth. So this is what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with a circumstance or consequence of history. Hip hop changing from positive to negative was not a consequence of history. It was not a circumstance of history. It was nothing that just happened on its own. It had nothing to do with the changing of the times. Had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the fact that there are people in this particular society who wants to see us exactly where we are. I believe it was JT, the bigger figure, who said the label executives came to him and said, yo, brother, we need you talking about guns and whores. Right. You know what I mean?
That's right.
That happens. I've been in those meetings. Young Buck, he has a song on his album that talks about police terrorism.
Young Buck was down with G Unit. So it was all right when G Unit was talking about all the street violence and all the craziness, but as soon as he had something, a socially based message, they told him to shut it down. I'll continue.
The label said absolutely not. Jimmy Iovine said absolutely not. You cannot put that on the album because it might create an atmosphere that might put police officers' lives in danger.
Right.
So they took the record off, but they let him keep the other 14 songs on the album that talked about killing black youth.
Y'all get it. Y'all get it. Y'all get it. Y'all get it. Shout out to my frat brother Big Sav for lending me that piece of information. That's not his information, but he shared it with me. Powerful. I appreciate it. Hip hop is 50, and we need to share all the information that we got on this subject matter that we created that other people want to pervert on their own accord for their own selfish means. We can't have that, man. That's our creation. We need to own that. We need to keep our agency on that. We need to keep our foot on their neck about what that's about and move on, move strong. Yeah, man. So we playing that. And of course, John Homestead, which was the CIA agent I shared with you a little while ago, he shared how this was not a conspiracy, but a deliberate attempt to corrupt the youth of the country and of our people by influencing some of hip hop's greatest acts. And NWA, of course, was the greater impact amongst all those groups. Shout out to Ice Cube that went solo and developed a consciousness about him in his later years as a hip hop artist so that he could bring us great information instead of detrimental information. And we move on. Let us know on the Real HD Show in the comment, man. Are you amongst that hip hop 50 crowd? Can you remember when it all went differently? When the vibe wasn't hitting that way, it was hitting different, and you quite didn't understand why. Put it in the chat. Let us know where you at. We are the Real HD Show. Let's have a higher discussion about it. So tonight, we are here for this. That's what we are here for tonight. Wait.
Please wake up.
Yeah, that's the infamous Larry Fishburne with Wake Up from the infamous movie School Days. If you haven't seen School Days by Spike Lee, you owe it to yourself to spend about an hour and 45 minutes. It is the black college experience. It typifies the black college experience in America. It's one of the seminal works of Spike Lee. Very, very underrated, but very appreciated. And the reason I wanted to feature this in this particular show is because I wanted us to wake up. How y'all feeling, man? We on the Real HD Show. It's the Vic. You comment on them things. Have you seen School Days? Have you appreciated it? Did that bring back memories for you? Tisha Campbell, so many stars. Giuseppe Colantino, I believe his name is. You know him by face. He played in the Star Wars series and in Kaleidoscope. So many dope. Kadeem Hardison, Jasmine Guy. So many dope people in that movie. The music, it was a musical actually. And a lot of people really didn't appreciate it for that. But firework, if you haven't seen it, if you're a millennial, if you're a Z and you haven't seen that, you owe it to yourself to sit down with your mama or your auntie T or your unk and go through the paces of school days. It'll make you different. You heard it here, right here first on the Real HD Show. So we here tonight for this, man. We here to help people wake up, man. And one of the reasons why we want to help people wake up is because of this right here. Fatal shooting by police draws protests and raises questions in North Alabama. Now, why is this important? It's always important when our brothers and sisters go down to police brutality and police shootings. But what's intricate about it is the way it happened. So let me explain a little bit about the way this popped off. So this is a brother who happened at night. And this one brother, please share that link. I'm going to put it as a ticker so that we can, across the bottom, so that we can rock out with that live, but it's not on the way. Yeah, so we had, that brother was in Alabama. He was hearing some noises in his yard. And it was a repo man that came to get his car. And when the repo man came to get his car, he had an argument with the repo man. He was trying to explain to the repo man that he was paid up. You know how we do, man. Sometimes we pay our stuff last minute. Maybe he paid it up that night or the night before, and maybe the things wasn't processed properly. But the repo man didn't believe him. So the repo man called the police because he was determined to get his little bit, get his little hook, put the car on the hook, pull it out. And what happened was the police showed up, and rather than hearing the brother out, as soon as they saw it was a brother, the police shot him dead. And on top of that, the repo man towed his vehicle. How disrespectful. So you can find this on AP News. Fatal shooting by police draws protests. Everybody in North Alabama, NAACP chapter, got out there and got after it. I'm not really a fan of doing that much more. The marching and the we shall overcome. I'm about, putting the mask on and, getting them boys and going click clack and making sure that folks understand that they can't just do our people any old type of way, or there will be consequences and repercussions. But this is one of the sorriest and craziest. It was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And that could have been anybody in any state at any time going through that. And our world is so delicate that, we need them vehicles to get to work. We need them vehicles to help our family. We need them vehicles to do the things that make our world go round day to day so we're not struggling. And instead of, having a conversation with the man about it, they shot him dead in his own yard and towed his car. So I got a little video to show y'all, man, because, sometimes what you have to do is you have to arm yourself with information about how to go about moving around police. So let me cue it up. It's not going to take long, real fast. This is from the Real Nagas channel. Please go to the Real Nagas channel and support this brother, Kevin Barrington. He puts together a lot of great information about how to protect yourself with the police. The video is about maybe 4 minutes, but I'm only going to play about 2.5 minutes of it. Bear with us. It's really important. Great information. And then we can have a conversation on the other side of it. Real HD Show. Check it out.
What the hell did you do? Did you run that stop sign? See? Go to jail before we get to my mama's house? Come
in here. How can I help you, officer?
Good afternoon, sir. Can I get your license and registration?
You sure can, officer. As soon as you give me a reason as to why you pulled me over.
When you give me your license and registration, I'll tell you why I pulled you over. Understand, Kanye West? Now, license and registration or you're going to jail, buddy.
Well, officer, according to the Supreme Court, Delaware versus Prowse, and Wren versus United States, you need to have a reason to pull me over, which means I need to have broken some type of law first.
That's right. So that's called RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion. And they need to tell you what law you broke, not a code, not a municipal violation, not a ticketable offense, but a law that they are accusing you of breaking. So I don't know if you can copy that. Delaware versus Pros, Wren versus the United States, but very vital information. I don't want to see this happen to anybody else. Let's continue.
So I ask you again, why did you pull me over, officer?
Supreme Court has ruled that Delaware versus Pros, as well as Wren versus US, that a police officer cannot pull you over simply to ascertain identification. They must have a lawful reason, meaning they need to suspect you of having broken the law. Let's continue.
Oh, is that right? And who are you supposed to be? Johnny Cochran's little brother? But you look like Kanye. So what do I call you? Yeezy Cochran? Oh, that was pretty funny. I cracked myself up.
Well, Officer Jim Carrey, I don't answer questions, but I do ask them, like what's your name, badge, and surety bond or insurance number so I can go file a claim for you violating my constitutional rights as soon as we're finished with our little comedy routine.
What was that?
You heard me, Officer Joe Rogan. What's your name, badge, and surety bond or insurance number so I can go file a claim for you violating my constitutional rights? Didn't think I knew about that, did you?
All right, so we'll pop out from there. Did y'all like that video? Not like the video? I've played this before on the show. I think that's incredibly helpful. Here's a couple of things that y'all could do, because there was a couple of things happening in Rochester. The sister got shot in Ohio, and died being pregnant. And a lot of times, if you show police officers and officers of the law that you are aware of your rights, it's a totally different encounter. It's a totally different conversation. So here's what you need to do. There's a couple of things you need first. First, you need a dash cam. So you could buy that for like maybe 25 to 40 bucks. It's on Amazon, or you can get it at Walmart real cheap and put it on your dashboard. And whenever this is for, melanated folk. If you in them states, you know what I mean? It don't matter if you're in them states at all. You could just be in the United States. The United States got the fuckery happening on 10. So all the time for melanated folk. So get you a dash cam, put it on the dash, right? First thing you do. So when a cop come and pull you over, activate the dash cam and let the cop know that you have a dash cam. Say it out loud. Participate with the cop. Be respectful, dialogue, but let them know I have a dash cam and it's running. That's the first thing. Second thing is you don't have to roll your windows all the way down. Lawfully, you only have to roll them down 2 inches. Why? Because you don't want to give them any impetus or give them any evidence against you. That's why they ask for your license and insurance and your registration, because they want to run it through the computer to see if you have any warrants. And then they want to search the car for defects so that they can ticket you. So make sure those things are as clean as we possibly can get them. We know we run into issues and problems from here, there, where those things are in flux, but try to have that as clean as possible while you're driving so you don't incite these clowns to violating your rights. The third thing, and some of the more important things that you want to do, is as soon as the officer walks up to you and you begin a dialogue, make sure you read him his badge number back to him. Read him his name, read him his badge number, and ask him if he has his body cam on. If he doesn't have his body cam on and the light is red, ask him to make the light green so that you know that a body cam is rolling on him, and then let him know that you have a dash cam in your car as well. Thirdly, if he is not articulating why he pulled you over, or she, right? What you would like to tell them is, I need your name, your badge, and your surety bond number, which is your insurance number, because all officers of the law, or all officers that are voted into office, that means mayors, governors, aldermen, councilmen, they all have surety bonds. Presidents, governors, they all have surety bonds. They can't operate in office without insurance. That is what clears them if they make a mistake in office in their capacity as an officer of the law or officer of government. The insurance is what protects them. So if the officer knows that you know their surety bond, they will think twice about confronting you in some disrespectful or violent way, because also you have their intimate information. Not only do you have their badge number, not only do you have their name, but you also have their insurance number. And by law, they have to give it to you. By federal law, Wren versus United States, they have to give you their surety bond number because they're a public officer. Oh, we got a comment. Let's see what's popping. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I had to learn this the hard way. I had to get arrested. I had to spend time in jail over what amounted to ticky-tacky stuff. And I teach as it, that's how I make my money. That's my career. I'm a teacher. So that severely impacted my ability to make money for a little while and put me through the ringer in some really crazy ways to clear that up, because you can't have a felony on your record and be a teacher. So by that sort of trauma and drama, I had to learn the information about this, and I'm bringing it to you guys on the Real HD Show. So once again, you want to get the name, the bond, insurance number, and the badge number of the officer that pulled you over. And also you want to let them know that you have a dash cam rolling. I bet you if that cop that shot the brother in that North Alabama knew that he had a porch camera rolling, like the bell camera, right? What is that called? The Ring camera. If he had one of those, which has an incredible radius and could record all types of stuff, I bet you if he had that and he said it out loud, that encounter would have went super differently, because these cops would have something that would hold them accountable. But now, I don't know if he did or he didn't, but that wasn't made known. And it wasn't made known that his information was shouted out loud in the public. I would have done that as well. And then also, if you can, call someone. If you're in a car, call someone and leave them, put your speakerphone on. So now you have a witness to whatever goes on with you, the cop. You got your dash cam popping, you got the body cam popping on the cop, and you have the cop's vital information. So whenever I see crazy stuff like that, and then of course, over the last couple of weeks, all I've been hearing about is people dying from cop violence. Oh, this person got shot and that person got shot. And I don't know any of these people. But if I did, oh my gosh, how heartbreaking is that to know that people didn't have this information that they could have armed themselves with and helped themselves. You have to make things very public and very obtuse and very loud in public in order for them to respect your constitutional rights and not violate you. We got a comment. Let's put it up there. Yeah, FaceTime somebody. Absolutely. Absolutely. FaceTime somebody and then ask them when you FaceTime them, tell them to record it if they can. So you have evidence. So even if something does happen, that cop will get it in the aftermath because there are things being recorded. You got your dash cam, you got your phone popping with a witness to what's going on, at least audibly, and then you also have the dash cam. So that was that particular issue. I wanted to bring that to you because I kept hearing in the news over and over and over and over and over. New York, Ohio, Mississippi, Chicago, all over the place. In this particular article, story came from North Alabama, and it happened to this brother just trying to, adjudicate what was going on with his car. Like, you don't even know if that's somebody coming into your house to break into your house at night. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Middle of the night, somebody trying to tow your car, and you trying to do something and get shot to death just because you're a melanated person. We got to stop that out. We got to stomp that out. We got to make sure that that no longer exists and that things are moving in our favor along those lines. Now, as usually, we're going to go to this. Power to the people news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. Now, Amari Stoudemire was one of my favorite New York Knicks. He was a basketball player. I knew he was a Hebrew Israelite by faith, but he had this to say over the war, Hamas versus the Israelis. So this is what he had to say. Former NBA star Amari Stoudemire goes off on the Black community for being silent about the war and attack on Israel. He says, F you. Wow, that's powerful words, man. So he goes on and he continues to say, I woke up this morning with some disturbing news out of Israel that Hamas was kidnapping children, putting them in cages, killing women, killing the elderly, That's some coward-ish. That's cowardly. For all y'all BLM people, y'all ain't saying nothing. Let me figure out exactly what's happening before saying anything. F you, Amari Stoudemire. Now, a lot of times, unfortunately, our people aren't really in the know about what's going on in international news. But we exist on the same globe. And what happens in the larger sphere of the globe and the macro affect us in the micro. That means we're all proportional of what goes on everywhere, right? No need to go out of space because the earth is already in space, right? So what's important is, how do we understand what's going on with Hamas versus the Israelis? Well, this particular conflict, right, goes way back. This particular conflict with Hamas goes way back to past the Middle Ages, all the way to ancient times, fighting over the Gaza Strip, Jerusalem, and the ancient lands that the Palestinians inhabit, but the UN and the USA created a nation state for the Israelis, and they took over some of the Palestinian land. So recently there was some warlike aggressions on the Hamas part, which is the military faction of the Gaza Strip, Palestinians. And what's interesting about this is not new news. And Israel is not innocent in this at all, because for a long time, the Israelis have been oppressing and terrorizing not Hamas, but the people of Palestine in various ways. Not only that, but I'm not sure if you guys know, but there's a faction of Jews called Falashin Jews or Hebrew Israelites. That means Black folk who are of the Jewish faith. And they live in that area. And they get oppressed. They get denied human rights. They get all kinds of inhumane things happen to them. And here are just a couple of tastes of what those are. I'll put this up real quick. So it's not that I'm hating on them. This area has an ancient history of fighting and terrorism against melanated people, and they have a recent history of this. And there are also some other edicts. Here's one also. Edicts and events that can spell out this here. It says Israeli police chased and killed a Palestinian kid on his way to school. So Amari Stoudemire has his FU message, but I'm not sure if he is well versed in what's going on, both ancient and contemporary times, as to what's going on in that region, right? And it's what's interesting is it's the Gog and the Magog, right? Ancient wars, right? And also the ancient wars of the Mahdi, right? The Mahdi, and the return of the 12th Imam. So the Mahdi and the 12th Imam, which represents Hamas and Islam, versus the Gog and the Magog, which are the Israeli side. Both sides believe war will bring the Messiah and the end of times. And if anybody knows about the Abrahamic religions, the three Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, they all have a similar core. They all have a similar path, and they all have a similar root. They all have Abraham as a, crucified Messiah, and an honored Messiah within them. So all the Abrahamic religions of this time go through this. So there have been a lot of upheaval, terrorism, and oppression done by the Israelis to the Palestinians. And I'm trying to find some of the other pieces here that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, give me 1 second. Yeah, so this one right here. So if you go on CNN and you go on Al or MSNBC and you watch Al Sharpton's show, right? Not really a fan, but he has critical information. You'll see this guy here. And he's a representative of the Anti-Defamation League. His name is Alan Greenblatt. And on Al Sharpton's show, in a reaction to the Israel and Hamas conflict, he goes on to say he's on the side of the Israelis and whatever they went through, right? That terroristic, it's really a war. One side, terrorizes the other. And of course, the Israelis who have more military power, this is their battle cry, according to him. And of course, he's Jewish and he has people in Israel. He says this is Israel's Emmett Till moment. Now, I got a lot of beef with that. First of all, let me know at home if y'all think that's cultural appropriation. I think it is. You don't use our trauma to explain your case. You don't use our people's plight and our people's trauma, our PTSD, to explain and become, get your trauma monopoly popping. That's crap, right? And all you gotta do is turn on the internet, the radio, the TV, and you'll hear several outspoken people talking about the Israeli side of the issue and not talking about the Hamas side of the issue. Now, what's interesting about Hamas versus the Israelis in the recent conflict is Hamas was armed by 3 different factions in 3 different countries. Put it in the chat if you know what factions and what countries armed Hamas, the Palestinians, or the Middle Easterns with the bombs and the weapons that they got to go up and do what they did to the Israelis? Put it in the chat if you know it. If you don't know it, we'll get to it in a second. Okay. Okay, so I don't. So the countries that have influenced the Palestinians, Middle Easterns, and armed them throughout the centuries, the last 40, 50 years with weapons, bombs, guns, etc., was the US, China, and Russia in different capacities. And there's a CIA agent that was fought. Remember Brittany Renner? Remember she went to jail for the pot, you know, the vape pen with the weed in it. They traded her for this this dude that was in the Russian gulag, right? Called Victor Blatt. And they called him the angel of death. Why? Because he was responsible for making the Hamas faction of that area knowledgeable about rockets, nuclear armament, and bio weapons. So when the whole thing popped off with, you know, Brittany Griner, and they wanted to trade for this dude, you knew something was up. They were trying to get their information guy home. They didn't want those secrets and that information put out there. So they made the exchange. Okay. Now, this dude, Victor Greenblatt from the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, gets on Al Sharpton's show and starts to want to control the trauma monopoly. He wants to make a trauma monopoly of what happened to Israel with the bombing and what happened with you know, what Hamas did of the last couple of days. But like I just showed you, there's this and there's this as well, and more and more and more evidence. All you gotta do is Google it, put Palestinian, put Israeli oppression on Palestinians, and all kinds of funky shit will come up in your Google search, and you will find out just what these nasty Israelis have been doing to the Palestinians, because of course it's a land war and a land grab, right? So this dude comes on Alan Greenblatt. He wants to make a monopoly of PSD on the Israeli side. The Palestinians, he called the Palestinians the Third Reich. So he likened them to Hitler. They don't have the military capacity of Hitler. Give me a break. Come on now. They don't have the money. They don't have the, I'm not saying that they're stupid people, but they're not educated in the ways of, you know, first world military weaponry. That's why they needed to do Victor Blau, right? And also says no other place people should be in back surrendering. Oh, and then this cat comes out to say that Palestinians weren't in an apartheid with Israel, and of course they were. All you gotta do is look it up. It says how bad. Actually, what is it? It's the Politico. Politico did an article about the systematic oppression, because of course Israelis control Israel, which dominates the area. Gaza Strip is tiny compared to the state of Israel, country of Israel. And then I showed you how if you're a Black Jew in the area, or just a Palestinian in general, and you have an Islamic background, you're still a human being and you shouldn't be systematically oppressed. But that's what's going on in the region. And then as soon as they asked him about the apartheid in the region, of course, he had a, you know, clutching pearls moment. He clutching pearls because he don't know that they know that that entire area has had an apartheid regime. That's when one faction or one country oppresses an entire country or group of people and denies them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This has been going on all over the region. and neither side is innocent. So we got to be very, very careful of what we're listening to. We got to be very, very careful of the information that's being disseminated out here, because a lot of it, like Brother Marcus Garvey said, is on a bluff, meaning deception, right? These Israeli people want to deceive you and think that they don't have a hand in motivating Hamas or the Islamic or the Palestinian group to commit the acts that they committed, and that's straight cap. That's bullshit. They have history on history on history in just the last century of terrorizing and oppressing Palestinians and Black Jews to the point where they did a strike-like response. Now, let me know how y'all feel about that. And another issue that we want to talk about is this one here. Okay, I'm trying to get this piece up and running, and at a certain point, this starts to happen. So I'll just continue talking. So, and this will probably be the last story of the evening. And if you guys are commenting, I cannot see you until my screen refreshes. So y'all stay on. Let me see if I can do it now. Okay. So I got my backup Wi-Fi kicking in, and it just hasn't done what I needed to do yet. Okay. So what does this have to do with us? Well, first of all, that ancient war between Islamic Palestinians involve us too, because the larger part or the northern part of Africa is all Islam. It's been Islam since ancient times, leading up to now, and Islam has dominated those areas. Sometimes, and of course, West Africa now is more Christian than it is Islam. Before centuries, those areas, northern Africa and West Africa, were dominated by Islamic groups, and those groups took on Islamic meanings, the Moors, etc., etc. So, what does this have to do with us? Many of us in America right now take on Islam as faith and as religious practice. So, yes, what's going on with Islamic and Muslims and Moors overseas will affect what's going on with Islamics, Muslims, and Moors right here in the United States as well. Don't think it won't. The same way this dude Alan Greenblatt, very much so, was representing, even though he's a ADL contributor, he had a director for that matter. He has no problem jumping on a talk show to defend the Israelis and what they're going through. I'm going to try to continue to move this along until I can get back control of my back channel and continue to greet you with my face. But just continue to listen up and we'll go through it. So, what does this have to do with us? And we have a large Islamic faction of Black people in America, and they should care what's going on with Muslims overseas. I have a cousin in Bmore, and him and his family are Muslims, and I'm sure they're watching this issue pretty heavily and paying attention to the meaning and the impact that it's going to have on Muslims globally. Because we remember when 9/11 happened, Muslims all over the world started getting mistreated, right? Even if they didn't have anything to do with 9/11, right? And then also, we have to also think about the fact that China, Russia, and the US on both sides of this conflict. The US funds Israel, Russia, US, and China have historical roots in funding Hamas and the Palestinians. So and all you gotta do is look it up. You don't have to take it from me. I'm not lying, but you just go ahead and do your due diligence. Pop it in your Google search, and you'll find that those factions who are the world leaders right now, all fighting for a power struggle with the CBDC currency and the Great Reset, all have contributed to this giant beef that Hamas and the Israelis have. So, and then of course, Biden and his cronies, right? Or Biden, slow Biden, right? Grandpa Biden, right? Slow Joe, as he likes to, you know, push himself as. He also um is looking to get reelected. And how do you like, if you're a melanated person in the US of Islamic faith and you voted for Biden the first time thinking you were going to get some sort of change or some sort of, you know, outreach for black folk, and all it turned around to do was to get the world into this conflict that the United States, to no fault of your own, you didn't vote for them spending your hard-earned tax money to fund a war on the Israeli side and to fund military armament on the Hamas side. You didn't ask for any of that, but all of it is happening right now. The war theater is in full go and on full display, and we got to know what we're doing. And of course, the 2024 elections are coming up. Now, who's going to hold their own nuts? Who's going to speak up and say, I'm not dealing with you, dude, because you put not only our money, but of course, if we get into any sort of military conflict with these people, they're going to be calling on our young men and young women to go over there that survive basic training, to go over there in the Army Reserves and fight and lose their lives over a conflict that America on the L funded. So although Amari Stoudemire is passionate, I think his energy goes in the wrong way. I think his intentions are good, but he needs to be a little more informed before he runs his mouth about what black people owe this particular conflict, when really he should be pointing the finger and using his celebrity to bring attention to why the US is culpable in these conflicts and what they intend to do to stop it. Biden withdraws the military from Afghanistan and leaves a shit pile of weaponry around for Hamas and the Middle Eastern factions to divvy up and use to further things. Now, you would ask yourself, why would Biden, abandon Afghanistan and leave weapons behind? Well, we know that the Israelis are armed a lot better than the Hamas. And it's, evident by the amount of devastation. Well, I can't even switch my screen. Okay. If you saw my picture of Israel and Hamas, you saw the amount of devastation in my graphic. It's rubble over there now. And I'm not saying the two don't have a right to fight each other and have a claim to fight each other. But Alan Greenblatt wants to get on the news and act like they got a monopoly on trauma and victimhood. And that's a lot of cap, especially given the amount of devastation and terrorism and violence that the Israelis have been responsible for, and that they got, all the blood they got on their hands. All right, family, listen to me real quick. I'm going to try to reload the site. Stay with me, stay here, stay clear. I'm going to try to get Yeah, we back. Okay, Real HD show, we back. So we were talking, I hope all of that recorded. We were talking about the Israel-Hamas conflict. And we were also talking about because of the Mahdi and the 12 Imams and the return of the 12th Imam. Hamas wants war. And we were also talking about because of the Gog and the Magog, Israel wants war. And these are ancient enemies. And we don't want people like Alan Greenblatt from the ADL going on TV along with other Jewish cronies and acting like they don't have a hand in the mass devastation, terrorism, and oppression that happened to the Palestinians, because we know they do. We know they do in this regard. We know they do in a lot other. We know they do in this regard, in many other ways. So I just want y'all to be careful, because we have a large contingent of Black folk in America who are of Islamic faith. And whenever something happens in the Muslim world, it affects everybody in the Muslim world, either directly or indirectly. And I want all my people to be safe, protected, and prosperous. And of course, if brothers like Amari Stoudemire don't quite understand why these things are happening the way that they're happening, they should just be quiet. They should just do some research. They should just be more informed and just be quiet. Don't run your mouth if you're not certain about why these conflicts are happening. So once again, I told you this is an ancient beef. The Hamas is looking for Hamas is looking for the Mahdi and the 12th Imam versus the Gog and the Magog for the Jews or the Israelis. And both sides believe that war will bring about the Messiah and the end of times. So they're not afraid to do this, neither side. So, I don't hear, Amari Stoudemire preaching about this. So Black people are the likely target of folks' aggression, but a lot of folks aren't educated on the things that they need to know in order to be informed and move cohesively amongst our people. And just because you are being trained in a rabbinic, meaning as a rabbi in a rabbinic school, doesn't mean that these people care about you, bro, because they won't even show love to Black folk who are Jews in the area, raised in that faith. So are they about that faith or they not? You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get to a whole lot more. Let me check on the time real quick. We at 9:15. Let me see. I did about the brother and the repo situation. That was sad. And I talked to you about Hamas and Israel. Just don't believe the cap, man. Don't just listen to all these talking heads on CNN and MSNBC, and they roll out all of the Jewish people, and the Jewish people wax poetic about how many victims they are. If I have to deal with my kids going to one more Jewish museum and sitting through Anne Frank and sitting through what the Third Reich did as a rite of passage or some shit, I'm a vomit. They make you do the stuff. You know what I'm saying? And, they got the Holocaust Museum in DC, all that type of stuff. And I'm not against it, but make sure that you are treating people equitably. So if we're going to talk about that, then let's talk about the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. as well. And then let's talk about the plight and the concentration and the journey that our people have in this country and what we went through. Don't belittle those things either. Yo, it was great rocking with y'all tonight. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the love. Sorry about the little screen freezing. From time to time that happens. I'm running a lot of, things in my back channels, and this computer overheats from time to time. But I appreciate y'all rocking with us. We are rocking with you. We are the higher discussion. Tell me what y'all liked about tonight's episode, because I dropped a lot. We talked about poor righteous teachers and hip hop 50. We talked about BPA and plastic being linked to autism, which is a big deal amongst Black people. Almost every 8th baby amongst Black folk is born on the spectrum with severe autism. And we're trying to get to the bottom line of it, but we do know, don't drink from those strange plastics because they contain chemicals that can, bring about autism in babies being born. And then we also talked about what to do if the police accost you or get in your private space without a RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion. And then we also talked about the Israel-Hamas conflict and how sometimes our celebrities and entertainers that a lot of us look to for leadership and adulation, they don't always know what the hell they talking about. Because the beef between the Palestinians and the Hamas is an ancient one. Goes way back and is contemporary. And both sides are doing dirt. So don't come out with the big FU campaign to melanated folk in the country unless you know what you're talking about. And then an affront to Muslim people over there is an affront to Muslim people all over the globe. And they're impacted that way. And of course, it's mainly melanated people that are Muslim all over the globe. I'm not Muslim, but I understand. I've studied the religion. I understand it. I understand the ancient times, the current times. Look up the Mahdi and the return of the 12th Imam. Look up the Gog and the Magog and the wanting for war, which will bring about a Christ Messiah for the Jews as well. Ain't nobody innocent. So don't run around acting like people's innocent in this conflict, because they're not. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta recognize whether or not we're gonna make Biden, how are we gonna hold his feet to the fire for funding these things, giving them weapons over the years, over the decades, and monetarily funding these things, just like he was funding the Ukraine. Now, I'm sure we'd love to have that tax money back in circulation in our neighborhoods and community centers and libraries and so on and so forth. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you rocking with us. Go back and check out some of the episodes that I alluded to for some various information. Please go back and check out, Ren versus the United States, Delaware versus Pros. Arm yourself with the information you need to protect yourself against them race soldiers. All right, y'all, we're about to get out of here. It's a Wednesday, Neezy. Loved your company. We are the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. Like, share, subscribe. And next time we gonna ride. See y'all later. Peace. Walk with power. We love y'all. Love on each other.